3 days before Christmas, 37-year-old Nia Bennett stood in her parents' garage with a cracked photograph in her hands. It was from her high school graduation. 17-year-old Nia stood between her parents, Calvin and Denise, grinning in a blue cap and gown. Behind that photograph were boxes containing her books, certificates, winter clothes, old journals, and pieces of a childhood she thought were still safe upstairs. That morning, she had discovered why everything was there. Her older brother Marcus and his family had moved into her bedroom. Nobody had asked her. Nobody had even warned her. Then Denise stepped through the garage doorway, rubbing her hands against the cold. "Nia, before I forget, the mortgage payment is due Friday. You're still sending it, right?" Nia looked at the photograph, then at the boxes, then at her mother. "No." Denise blinked. "What?" I said no.
Watch this carefully, because what looks like an argument over a bedroom is really about something much deeper. And if you enjoy stories where quiet decisions reveal the truth about people, subscribe and stay with me. I'm Tales by Akanji. All right, let's get back to the story. Until that moment, Nia Bennett had spent most of her life believing being the dependable daughter was something to be proud of. She was the person relatives called when they needed an airport ride at 6 a.m. She remembered her parents' appointments without being reminded. When somebody borrowed money, Nia was usually the one who didn't mention it again. Her mother loved telling people, "That's one child I've never had to worry about." Nia always smiled when she heard it. She thought it meant they trusted her. She had never considered what else it might mean.
He hugged Nia with one arm. Nia nodded toward the luggage. "When did y'all get here?"
"Last week."
"Last week?"
"Yeah, things got messy with the apartment."
"What kind of messy?"
Marcus waved it away. "Nothing worth ruining Christmas over. Mom said we could stay here for a little while." Nia glanced at Calvin. Her father suddenly became very interested in the bakery box. Keisha appeared from the living room. "Hey, Nia." She hugged her, but there was a hesitation in it that Nia noticed without understanding. "You good?" Nia asked. "Yeah, just tired." Marcus's 2 children shouted from the living room, and Keisha turned toward them. Nia picked up her suitcase. "All right, I'm putting this away before Mom sees me standing still and decides I need a job." Marcus shifted his weight. Nia. But she was already halfway up the stairs. Her bedroom door was closed. She pushed it open and stopped. Marcus's shirts filled half the closet. Keisha's cosmetics covered the dresser. A laundry basket sat near the window. 2 suitcases were open beside the bed, and someone had replaced Nia's old quilt with a gray comforter. For a second, she wondered whether she'd walked into the wrong room. Then she saw the small wooden shelf on the wall. Calvin had installed it when she was 14. She remembered holding the level, while he complained that the wall itself must be crooked. Marcus's baseball caps were stacked on it now. Keisha appeared behind her. "Nia?" Nia kept looking into the room. "Where's my stuff?" Keisha's face tightened. "Your mom said you knew." Nia turned around. "Knew what?" "That we were using the room." "No." Marcus reached the top of the stairs. "Come on, Nee, don't start." She looked at him.
I'm not starting anything. I'm asking where my things are. Mom moved them. Where am I supposed to sleep? The den has a pull-out. Nia stared at him long enough for Marcus to look away. I would have moved my own things. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. We've got the kids, Nia. You know how cramped it gets. I didn't ask why you wanted more space. Then what are you asking? Why nobody called me?
Marcus sighed. It's just a room. Nia glanced behind him at the clothes, suitcases, and baseball caps. Apparently not. Denise's voice rose from downstairs. Nia, baby, come down here. I'll show you where everything is. The garage was cold enough that Nia could see the faint cloud of her breath. Denise switched on the light. Several cardboard boxes were stacked beside Calvin's tools. Nia books. Nia clothes. Nia misc. Nia crouched beside the nearest box. Her college yearbook was on top. Beneath it were 2 certificates, an old sweater, and the graduation photograph. One corner of the glass had cracked. Nia ran her finger along the wooden frame. Mom, why didn't you call me? Denise leaned against the freezer. Because I knew this is how you'd react. Nia looked over her shoulder. How am I reacting? You're hurt. I am hurt. Nia, Marcus has Keisha and 2 children. You have your own apartment. So you don't need that room. Nia turned back toward the boxes. She remembered coming home from college and finding that bed freshly made. She remembered sitting there with Denise after her first serious breakup. She remembered Calvin knocking on the door on Sunday mornings and asking if she planned to sleep until noon. Of course she knew she was 37. She didn't expect her parents to preserve her bedroom like a museum forever. She had expected them to ask. Denise softened her voice. Baby, nobody threw you out. Nia gave a small nod. Okay. She placed the photograph carefully back into the box. Denise started toward the kitchen, then stopped in the doorway. Oh, and before I forget, the mortgage payment is due Friday. You're still sending it, right? That was when the entire conversation changed. Later, standing in the kitchen, Nia opened her banking app. The scheduled transfer was already there. $1,250. Denise poured herself a glass of tea. Your father's check won't clear until next week, so make sure it doesn't go late. Nia looked at the number. Then she looked toward the living room, where Marcus was stretched across the sofa laughing with his children. You still expect this? Denise frowned. Expect what? The payment. Of course. Nia tapped the screen. The scheduled transfer disappeared. Denise lowered the picture. Nia, what did you do? I canceled it. You canceled the mortgage money? Yes. Denise stared at her. Because Marcus is sleeping in your old bedroom? I'm not doing this right now. You're the one who canceled it. Nia put the phone in her pocket. You just told me I have my own place. Maybe I should start putting my money into that one. Nia, those are 2 completely different things. Nia looked at her mother. That was exactly what troubled her. To Denise, apparently they were.
That night, Nia lay on the pull-out sofa in the den, listening to the old frame squeak every time she moved. Sometime after midnight, she heard her parents in the kitchen. Denise kept her voice low. She canceled it. Calvin didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, "You should have called her before moving those boxes." "Calvin, not now." "I'm just saying. She hasn't lived in that room in years." "What did she say about the payment?" "That she's not sending it." A chair scraped across the floor. "Does Marcus know?" Calvin asked. "No." "Maybe we should tell him." "Tell him what? Mia's mad? She'll calm down." "And if she doesn't?" Denise gave a tired sigh. "She always does." Nia lay still in the darkness. "She always does." The words bothered her because they were true.
She was usually the one who called first. The one who said, "Forget it." The one who decided an argument wasn't worth dragging into another week. By morning, Marcus was walking through the house with a tape measure. Nia put the phone in her pocket. "You just told me I have my own place. Maybe I should start putting my money into that one." "Nia, those are two completely different things." Nia looked at her mother. That was exactly what troubled her. To Denise, apparently they were. He came into the kitchen while Nia was making coffee. "Dad, that wall downstairs isn't load-bearing, is it?" Calvin looked up. "What wall?" "The one by the den. If we're going to be here a while, I could open that space up." Nia stopped stirring her coffee. Keisha walked in behind him. "Marcus, we haven't even talked about how long we're staying." "We talked about it. You talked." Marcus grinned as though she were teasing him. "Mom already said we're wasting money on rent when there's space here." Nia turned toward Denise. Her mother began rearranging plates on the counter. Marcus continued. "And eventually this place stays in the family anyway." Calvin's eyes dropped to his coffee. Nia saw it. "Eventually?" Marcus shrugged. "You know what I mean." "No, I don't." Denise cut in. "It's Christmas. Can we please not turn everything into a meeting?" Marcus laughed. "I'm just thinking ahead." He spread rough renovation sketches across the dining table later that afternoon. Nia watched him point out where the children's area could go. Keisha kept telling him to slow down. Calvin barely spoke. Nobody corrected Marcus when he talked as though the house were financially secure. That evening, Nia opened her laptop. She wanted to know exactly what she had been doing for the past few years. The first transfer dated back almost 3 years. She remembered it clearly. Calvin's hours had been cut. Denise had called and said they were short that month. Nia sent money. Then she sent it again the following month. She kept scrolling. $1,250. Another $1,250. Again. The payments crossed Christmases, birthdays, work bonuses, car repairs, and ordinary months she barely remembered. She opened a calculator. The total came to just under $45,000. Nia sat back. She had never added it up before. She remembered postponing a vacation because airfare was too high, keeping her old car because it still ran, telling herself she'd increase her retirement contribution later. She didn't suddenly regret those decisions. At the time, she had made them willingly. What unsettled her was how invisible they had become.
Wait, don't rush past that. Nia wasn't angry because she had helped her parents. She was beginning to understand what happened when her help stopped being appreciated and started being expected. A knock sounded at the den door. Calvin stood there with one hand in his pocket. Your mother wants to talk. About Friday? He nodded. Nia closed the laptop. Davina was already sitting at the kitchen table when she entered. Calvin took the chair beside her. Nia sat opposite them. Davina began carefully. Your father and I don't want this turning into something ugly. Neither do I. Then send the payment. Calvin looked down at his hands. Nia noticed. Mom, listen to what you're asking. I'm asking you not to mix two unrelated issues. They don't feel unrelated to me. Davina frowned. Marcus has children. He needs the space. I heard you. And you are doing well. I heard that too. You have a good job. You have your own apartment. You're not struggling. Nia rested her hands on the table. So Marcus needs something, and that means he gets it. You need something, and that means I provide it. Shake her head. That's not fair. Nia almost smiled. No, it isn't. Calvin looked up then. Nia, we appreciate what you've done. She studied his face. Then why does everybody talk about it like it's something I'm supposed to keep doing? Neither parent answered directly. Nia stood. The automatic payment stays off. Denise's shoulders stiffened. For how long? I don't know yet. She left the kitchen before guilt could turn the conversation into another promise. For the next several days, Marcus continued behaving as though nothing important had changed. He talked about flooring, paint, storage shelves. One afternoon, Nia found Calvin at the dining table surrounded by bills. He covered one envelope when she entered. Dad, we'll figure it out. Marcus walked in carrying his sketches. I got a price on that flooring. Calvin's jaw tightened. Hold off. Marcus frowned. Why? Just wait. I thought you said... I said wait. Marcus looked from Calvin to Nia. Denise called from the kitchen. Marcus, leave your father alone. He stood there another moment before gathering his papers. Fine. January. He walked away. Calvin watched him go. Nia waited,
Her father had the perfect opportunity to tell him. Instead, he picked up the bills and carried them into his bedroom. That was when Nia understood. The silence wasn't accidental anymore. Her parents were protecting Marcus from information, while expecting her to protect them from the consequences.
After Christmas, Nia returned to our apartment. The messages started the next morning. Her aunt texted, "Your mother is heartbroken. Call her." A cousin wrote, "Don't let an old bedroom break up the family." Then another relative called to tell Nia she was taking things too far. Nia phoned Denise. "Mom, what exactly have you been telling people?" "We're family. People ask questions." "What did you tell them?" Denise paused. "That you're upset about Marcus using your room, and now you're refusing to help with the mortgage." Nia looked across her apartment at the box she had brought home. The cracked graduation photograph was sitting on top. "Did you tell them how long I've been paying?" "That isn't anybody's business." "You made it their business." "Nia, no, Mom. You don't get to tell people about the money and leave out the part that makes you uncomfortable." Denise went silent. For years, Nia had protected family problems by keeping them private.
This time, privacy had become a place for somebody else's version of the truth to grow. After Christmas, Nia returned to her own apartment and discovered that relatives had been given an incomplete version of the conflict. They believed she stopped helping her parents simply because Marcus took her old bedroom. She confronted Denise and realized that family privacy was now allowing a distorted version of the truth to spread.
The following Saturday, she returned to the house with a folder. Marcus and Keisha were there. Calvin sat at the dining table beside Denise. Marcus looked annoyed. "Why are we doing this?" Nia pulled out a chair. "Because apparently everybody's discussing my money now." Denise folded her arms. "Nia, don't." She opened the folder. "I've been sending Mom and Dad $1,250 every month." Marcus shrugged. "I know you help them." "Every month." His expression changed. "How long?" "Almost 3 years." Nia slid the transfer history across the table. Marcus picked it up. His eyes moved down the pages. Keisha leaned closer. Marcus looked up. "This is over 40 grand. Just under 45. Keisha stared at Denise. "You never told us." Denise's lips tightened. "It wasn't something you needed to know." Marcus turned toward Calvin. "Dad?" Calvin rubbed his palm across his forehead. "My hours dropped. Then things stayed tight." Marcus looked toward the renovation sketches stacked on a nearby chair. For the first time since Nia arrived at Christmas, he seemed unsure of himself. Nia watched him. Part of her still hoped the numbers would make something click.
Marcus put the papers down. "I didn't know it was that much."
Nia waited. Then he said, "But you make good money."
Keisha turned toward him.
"Marcus." "What?" "You just found out your sister has been helping keep this house going for 3 years." "I heard her." "Then listen to yourself." Marcus leaned back. "I'm not saying Mom and Dad handled the bedroom right. They should have called her, fine. But Nia doesn't have kids. She doesn't have daycare, school expenses, 4 people to feed. She's doing okay." Nia stopped waiting. There was no dramatic realization on Marcus's face. No sudden shame.
He had learned the facts and fitted them into the same old explanation. Nia could handle more. Therefore, Nia should. She gathered the papers and returned them to the folder. The money I sent was help, Marcus. I know. No. You think it was available because I was available.
Marcus frowned. Nobody said that. Nia looked at her parents. Nobody needed to. She stood. The automatic payments are done. If you and Keisha live here, you contribute. Mom and Dad need to make decisions using income they actually have. If they ask me for help again, I'll decide then. But nobody budgets my money before talking to me. Marcus opened his mouth. Keisha touched his arm. Don't. Nia picked up the folder. She didn't need to win the argument. She only needed to stop funding it.
Most people miss this part. Learning the truth doesn't always change someone's thinking. Sometimes it simply gives you enough truth to decide what you will no longer participate in. Exactly. January was uncomfortable, but nobody's life collapsed. Calvin and Denise sat down with their actual expenses. Subscriptions disappeared. Plans changed. Calvin adjusted what he could. Marcus and Keisha began contributing toward the household. The renovation sketches vanished from the dining table. Keisha made that part simple. If we're staying here, we pay, she told Marcus. Your sister isn't paying for us. Marcus didn't enjoy the conversation, but he eventually stopped fighting it. One evening, Calvin called Nia. I should have told him. Nia knew exactly what he meant. Yes. Her father was quiet. I was embarrassed. I know. I kept thinking I'd get back on top of things. Then another month came. He listened. I let my mother handle it because I didn't want Marcus knowing how tight things were. He paused. That left you carrying it where nobody could see. Nia closed her eyes briefly. Yeah, Daddy, it did.
He didn't ask her to resume the payments. That mattered. Denise took longer. Sometimes she still described the whole thing as a misunderstanding. Nia stopped trying to correct every version. A boundary didn't become valid only after everybody agreed with it. A few weeks later, Nia returned to the garage. The boxes were still stacked against the wall. She spent nearly an hour sorting through them. Some things went straight into a trash bag. Some made her laugh. She found a terrible 8th grade school portrait and held it up when Calvin passed the garage. He laughed so hard he had to lean against the door frame. Your mother paid money for that picture. That's the real family crime. For a moment, they were simply father and daughter again. Nia kept the graduation photograph, a few books, her certificates, the little wooden desk organizer Calvin had made years ago. She left the rest. Denise appeared as Nia carried the last box toward the car. You don't want anything else? Nia looked back at the garage. No, I'm good. Denise nodded. She seemed as though she wanted to say something more, but didn't. Nia placed the box in the trunk. The graduation photograph rested on top. She closed the trunk,
hugged her coat tighter around herself, and looked once toward the house before getting into her car. This time, she left without wondering whether somebody would come outside and ask her to stay. There's one part of Nia's story I keep coming back to. Her mother used to proudly call her the child they never had to worry about. And for years, Nia heard that as love. Maybe it was. But somewhere along the way, being dependable became a reason to ask more of her. And being strong became a reason not to notice when something hurt. Sometimes the person who asks for the least isn't the person who needs the least. They're simply the person everyone has become accustomed to seeing carry it quietly. I'd really like to hear what you took from Nia's story. Share your thoughts below. And if you'd like to hear more stories like this, subscribe to Tales by Akanji.